today on Divorce Court.
My wife is having issues with me playing video games at night and sleeping half the day.
I took the video console and pawned it to get his attention back on me and his family.
I don't know what would happen if I didn't play video games.
Christopher would rather do anything with technology as opposed to having sex with me.
In 2010, I was diagnosed with PTSD. Video games kind of helped me relieve stress so I don't have an episode.
Chris and I could talk better through texting or messengers as opposed to talking face to face.
It's easier for me to say it through text or message because I can't see her facial features or her emotions.
I want to try to spend the rest of my life with Chris, but he needs to get on my level or he's going to get left behind.
Divorce Court is now in session.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here today with Heather Hamrick and Christopher Jones. The two of you have been together for 7 years, married for 2, and you have 1 child together, aged 4. The two of you are here trying to save your marriage. There are difficulties that you have been having, so I had you take one of my compatibility tests, and we'll talk about that momentarily. But Ms. Hamrick, I'm going to start with you. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your marriage and why you're here in divorce court today?
Our marriage is a little rocky. My husband tends to play video games quite often as opposed to spending time with his family. And we're here to try to work on that and see if we can get his sleeping habits back in the court.
Now, when you say quite often, what do you mean?
He plays them pretty much every day when the game console is available.
Every day, okay. Now, is it every day for 5 minutes, every day for an hour, every day?
It's been up to 10 hours in a day.
I wasn't ready for that. Now, we're going to check with Mr. Jones to see if that's accurate. Mr. Jones, do you agree that you do, in fact, play video games 10 hours a day?
Yes.
That's a lot. Are you fighting and shooting, or are you racing cars? What are you doing?
My particular favorites are the first-person shooters.
Oh, first person. So you did
Yes.
with behind the point of the guy. I got sons. I know. Let me ask you this: how long have you been playing that much video games?
Since I can remember age 3, playing Atari.
Has your consumption of the medium been extreme the whole way through, or has it grown over the years?
It has grown, I guess. Into adulthood, I could do what I wanted to do.
And can I ask you this? Do you feel that, as a 30-year-old man, 10 hours a day of video games is something that's appropriate to do?
Maybe not in normal circumstances.
Okay. What are the circumstances you believe allows this to be appropriate in the context of this relationship?
I have PTSD.
Okay. Are you being treated for it?
Not currently. I'm in transition. We just moved back home to West Virginia.
Okay. Let me ask Ms. Hamrick, have you noticed an uptick in his game playing, and do you see it as a function of the PTSD? And do you see other behaviors that are concerning to you as a function of his PTSD?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I understand that this could be a coping mechanism, the gaming situation. But I don't see where he needs to game from, some days he gets up noon, sometimes 4 o'clock in the evening. He'll spend a little time with us. When the sun goes to bed, he'll game all night.
Okay.
Sometimes, depending on the level he gets to and the interaction, if he's on Wi-Fi, he may even stay up a little bit longer playing that game.
What is he not doing that you need him to do because he's spending his time playing games?
I need him to be dad. I need him to be a husband. I need him to help with laundry and chase kids and mow grass. I need him to give me a little more affection and attention, push my buttons instead of the controller buttons.
Right. Mr. Jones, my understanding is you quit your job in order to play video games. Is that accurate?
No, ma'am.
Because I put a whole lot of exclamation points beside that. Because I'm all about making money. Did that happen?
No, ma'am.
You say it happened.
I let him get it out of the pawn shop. I take his electronics sometimes and I pawn them. Sometimes I use the money for me and things that I want because it makes me feel better in this situation. But he was working, he was doing great. We went to the pawn shop, we got his game console out. 2 days later, he quit his job. Said he couldn't cope because he had transitioned from one section to another section and used his PTSD as a reason why he couldn't do the job anymore. And then he continued staying up all night playing games.
I know you believe he has PTSD, but do you believe that he is using that as an excuse to do things that he simply wants to do and that aren't a function of his coping with that particular condition?
I think that he uses my empathy and sympathy towards knowing what PTSD is to get his way to just be lazy sometimes, yeah.
Though we do not at all suggest you do not have PTSD, and I do not at all suggest I know what it's like or how it is or what it is to cope with, but do you believe that at any point in time you might be pulling out that card when it really isn't about that? It's about what you want to do.
No.
Never.
No.
Not a little bit.
I would not use my disability as a crutch.
Sometimes you end up doing that unintentionally. Can you leave your mind open to the possibility that that may have occurred?
I recall going into PTSD episodes and not knowing about it. So
When did you get PTSD? What was the incident that occurred?
I served in Iraq for a year in a combat situation.
Right.
Saw things that
I could not imagine. I get that. I get that I don't get it. And I want to respect that. But we do know that your concentration on video games preceded Iraq. Now, it may have exacerbated the problem, or it may be the way that you've chosen to cope with it, but I just want you to leave your mind open to the possibility. And the reason I want you to be open to the possibility, because I got the man here in the courtroom. I have Dr. Stephen L. Mandel here. He is an expert on PTSD. So what I don't know, what you don't know, and what he doesn't know, he's gonna fill us in on so we know exactly what we're dealing with here. Why don't you give me an assessment of what you're seeing, what you feel is going on, and how you think they can best approach the problem?
Chris's devotion to gaming preceded his trauma by many decades, a couple decades anyway.
Right. Mr. Jones, we were discussing your very real struggle with PTSD, and I don't know a lot about it, so I brought an expert in to help me out. His name is Dr. Stephen L. Mandel, and I'll ask him to come forward at this time.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Dr. Mandel. Doctor, if you could just give me a brief recitation of your credentials and what you know about PTSD, and then tell me a little bit about the syndrome and things that you think I may not understand.
Well, I'm Dr. Stephen Mandel. I treat PTSD. PTSD is very frequently accompanied by suicidal thinking and by depression.
Let me ask you this, Dr. Mandel. You've heard the testimony here today.
Yeah.
You've been briefed on the circumstances. Why don't you give me an assessment of what you're seeing, what you feel is going on, and how you think they can best approach the problem?
Well, Your Honor, I was very impressed with your line of questioning. And I have a lot of respect for Chris and a lot of respect for PTSD. It's a horrible affliction. It's one that those of us who don't have it really should get that we don't get it.
Right.
On the other hand, Chris's devotion to gaming preceded his trauma by many decades, or a couple decades anyway.
Right.
It's a great refuge. Now, games are actually used in therapy, in desensitization, and in getting people calmed down. This first-person shooter thing really helps people as part of a program to relieve their PTSD. As a way of avoidance, though, it's not especially constructive. It's not therapeutic. It isn't getting Chris where Chris says he wants to be.
And you believe there are other means by which he can approach this problem. And in doing so with the gaming, this is what I think, and I just want to know if I'm wrong. I believe he's self-soothing with it, and it's successful, but he's taken it to the point where the soothing part has overtaken his life and become a problem in and of itself.
I think you're quite right.
Oh, okay. Well, I like you already. Mr. Jones, do you have any questions for him?
Not really. He pretty much.
Did you hear what he said?
He explained amicably. So.
Can you hear it without it pushing buttons, without it being offensive, or without you feeling attacked?
Yes.
I hope so, because I know that's not my intention. I believe it's not the judge's intention either. If you get where this is in terms of enabling you to make the choices that are going to lead you forward in life, then you really can get on board with participating in getting it moderated a little.
Dr. Mandel, thank you so very much. I appreciate your expertise and wisdom in this matter, and I appreciate you coming to court today.
Thank you very much.
Please, you can return to your seat. I'm not going to claim expert just because I listened to him. He's still an expert. But what I am going to do is try to take you on that first step past self-soothing to the extent that your family is neglected, to be able to put you on a path to be soothed and to be in command of the way you manage your PTSD, and possibly on to new things that allows your family to thrive and you to thrive as well. Do you think that's something you'd like to do?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, let's work on that. But I understand that cheating has played a role in your distress in your marriage.
I can count at least 4 indiscretions that he's had or more.
Now, Mr. Jones, do you care to deny that, own it, or go somewhere in between? How would you feel if your partner gave more attention to video games than to you? Tell us what you think at facebook.com/Divorce Court. Divorce Court will be right back. I want to use today as an opportunity for you to reset. And I can't fix PTSD, but I want to reset your approach to it a little bit, and approach to your family, because your family is crying. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
You said something about something your 4-year-old said to you, and I want you to repeat it here to him.
Remember when we lived in North Carolina? What was Alden's favorite day?
Sunday.
And why was that?
That's when Daddy was home.
And now Daddy's home every day. And he still waits for Sunday.
Because you're home, but you're not there. I don't want you to feel bad because of the manner in which you soothe, but I don't want the manner in which you soothe to run your life. People who end up hoarding or drinking or using drugs, a lot of them are soothing from trauma, and the manner in which you soothe becomes the problem itself. And there are places you can go and people you can see to assist you in finding ways to soothe that allows you to be a husband and a father and a dude that has a life that has expectations beyond the next level of whatever game you happen to be on. That's all I'm trying to say. You with me?
Yes,
Because
ma'am.
I'm loving on you here. May not sound like it, but I am. Once we get there, I'm gonna make a sharp left turn. But I understand that cheating has played a role in your distress in your marriage, and I want you to tell me who's been cheating, how it's happened, and how you found out about it.
We live in a small town. Everybody knows everybody. Everyone knows everyone's business, pretty much. And a friend of mine heard another female talking about how she was pregnant and couldn't find the dad. And that got rumored back to me, and it turns out that it was Christopher, who could have been the dad. And we kind of squabbled around it for a couple tries, and he finally confessed of the situation.
Was that his only misstep?
No.
Can you give me a count, a head count?
I can count at least 4 indiscretions that he's had or more.
Now, Mr. Jones, do you care to deny that, own it, or go somewhere in between?
I only recall 2.
You only recall 2.
Unless she's counting the times with that certain person.
Now that we've gone there, let's go here. Not only has he cheated on you, my understanding is you've cheated on him, and
yes.
more than once. So that's what we're going to talk about now. Which would be hardest to deal with in your relationship? Share your opinion on Twitter and Instagram at Divorce Court. Divorce Court will be right back. Ms. Hamrick, Mr. Jones says that you slept with his nemesis. from high school. How did you pick him and why did you do it?
I did sleep with a friend of mine. He's never done anything bad to me. Now, him and Christopher didn't get along. That's okay. That's him and Chris. They're not sleeping together. He was my comfort.
Why did you feel that it was okay for you to have sex with somebody else outside of your marriage? Was it a revenge cheat?
Yes, partially. Before Christopher and I got married, when we had our son, we decided to get us a place. We finally acquired us a little trailer, had us a little home. All of a sudden, about 3 months into it, Christopher said he didn't know why, but he didn't want us there. So we moved. Well, we was still trying to work it out because Chris and I have a very long history. You know,
Yeah.
we've had it off and on
Right.
for 7 years. I told him once, if you don't give me what I want, I'll find it somewhere else. I said it in private. The second time, I said it in mutual company. If you don't give me the attention that I want, I'll find it somewhere else. The third time, I embarrassed him in front of everyone and had one of my downliners pick me up at his home and take me down the road. And I got what I wanted.
This is a save my marriage. I'm not Hercules, but I'm gonna lift as much as I can. The way you run a marriage is that you take it and you put borders around it. This is the country Hamrick Jones. And in that country Hamrick Jones, you bring all your problems, all your troubles, all your concerns, and you share them amongst one another. You don't take your distress out beyond the borders of the country and engage with other people with it. The deep thing I found about people in divorce court is they always feel justified in the dirt that they do. And I was feeling this way, so I did that thing. When you feel this way, you ought to have that conversation and determine how you're going to deal with it in the context of that confines of that marriage. Marriage is hard, but it can be a beautiful thing because it can be a place of trust and rest and comfort and calm, but not if you choose to satisfy yourself, to soothe yourself in places outside the country. Mr. Jones, thank you for serving our country. Thank you for going out there and fighting that fight to help defend us and keep us. Thank you. And whatever you suffer from as a function of that great gift that you gave to all of us, you make sure that you don't accommodate it. You fight that too. Computer games are easy. Fighting the real fight is always hard. And you start that fight with holding her hand, telling her what she needs, and go look for it together. We had Dr. Mandel here. He told you something. He may be able to tell you a little more. I have somebody out there who's going to give you help finding what you need in your area. But you understand that you have to fight that fight, not just soothe the feeling. You with me?
Yes, ma'am.
And don't be running around because you can't get at home. You take care of your business and stay with your man. You too. Keep your extremities to yourself. And good luck to both of you. Today, new beginning, right here, right now. My best to you both. This matter is adjourned.
Today in court, it was brought about my indiscretions, but people don't understand how much it's on us as the spouse, how much we go through. We walk on eggshells. We try to avoid the triggers. We protect our children, but we're still people. We still need love. We still need affection. We still need touched. And that was the goal, was to get him to see what he was doing to us. I guess we're just gonna have to work on it and see what happens. Hopefully he gets his help and I behave myself and just works out for our son. That's the most important thing.